is Gabriel-Richards, and I am one of the sisters on the critical care unit at Manchester Royal Infirmary. I am going to be discussing basically why I am doing what I'm doing. So I noticed that there was a gap in patients' hair and skin care, mainly in the BAME population, and particularly since the COVID-19 pandemic. We've noticed, one, that there are a lot more BAME patients that have been affected, unfortunately, by the COVID-19 virus, and also with the restrictions in relatives and visitors coming into the hospitals to help participate in patient care, there has obviously been a lack of involvement and also a lack of confidence and knowledge in providing specific care specifically for patients of the BAME community. First, I'd like to clarify that although I will be discussing a lot on black afro hair, this will also be very relevant to patients of the Asian community and those with longer, thicker hair. So there are many different types of afro hair, ranging from 2A to 4C, the highest density and the most thickest of them being type 4C. 4C hair is very kinky, coily, and requires a lot more moisturising and a lot more delicate care and maintenance in order to be able to maintain it. It is also one of the hair types that a lot of people tend to struggle with, so that's where I will be taking my focus to.
Now, during this section, I'm going to be showing you how you would unravel a plait, and whilst at the same time you will also be detangling the hair strands as you're combing it through. Now, this is using a standard universal wide tooth comb, or you may hear a pocket comb. Either way, they're both exactly the same and do the same job. Now, as you can see, as you're unraveling the plait, you're also combing through to get rid of any potential knots. If you're struggling in any way, you can always use a little bit of conditioner or water in a spray bottle to help loosen those strands.
This is an afro comb, so this is also particularly very good for shorter, thicker hair as well, and it's good for being able to get to as close to the scalp and being able to remove dead hair from shorter hair. To help with sectioning, I use a hair grip, just a standard one that you can get anywhere, and it just helps to, when you're sectioning off hair, to be able to detangle. It just helps keep them separate. And then also a bobble without the metal connector piece, because that's what can particularly get tangled in the hair strands and create knots and potentially break the hair and cause damage. So if you can try and get bobbles that don't have that little snag in the middle, that's even better.
Another very useful tool to have is a spray bottle. You can get these pretty cheaply anywhere really, and I would just fill it with a bit of water, a bit of maybe like olive oil or castor oil, and even hair moisturizer, just a normal hair oil, and that just helps to detangle the strands, soften the strands, and make it easier to comb through. So in this section, I'm going to show you how I would section, moisturise and detangle the hair. It's easier to section them and do them in individual areas as opposed to trying to do one large section. If you need to use a little bit of water in the spray bottle, that's absolutely fine. and you can also use a little bit of leave-in conditioner as well. I like to finger comb as much as I can, as that is the best tool really for this kind of hair. And you can also feel for those little knots that you might not necessarily feel with the comb. In this part, I'm going to go through sectioning into smaller, easier, more manageable sections for you to be able to detangle your patient's hair. You can use a hair oil or a hair moisturiser, and this is what we call greasing the scalp. Now this provides the hair follicles and the scalp the much needed nourishment and nutrients that it needs to be able to grow. Once you've got your smaller sections, you can finger comb through some leave-in conditioner just to help keep those strands nice and supple and at less risk of breakage and tearing. This also makes it a lot easier to then be able to comb through and detangle. Now here we are doing a two-stranded twist. Now this is just good for, if you're not particularly confident with a French plait, for instance, then this is a very easy way of being able to keep the hair away from things like lines, etc. This is what we would call the three-strand French plait. So you would split these into 3 separate sections and fold over each strand over the one beside it. So I'm just going to slow this down so you can see exactly how it's done.
So as you're combing afro hair, you will hear, and it might sound quite painful because you'll hear the tension, but as long as you've got a good grip towards the root of the hair, towards the scalp, it will be fine. And if you're really that worried, you can always use a bit of water spray or like leave-in conditioner just to help soften it. That's absolutely fine to use. And try and finger comb as much as you can, but obviously if you don't want to, you can always go back to your comb. And another thing to also note as well, that when you're combing afro hair, you will see quite a bit of shedding like this, and this is normal because this is just dead hair that needs to basically leave anyway. So this is absolutely fine to see. You've not caused any damage, you've not caused any pain in particular. That is pretty normal to see. So with regards to shampooing, shampoo, actually, as good as it is for cleansing the hair, it's very stripping of the natural oils that we do need in our hair to help our hair grow and to nourish it. So we only tend to use like a very small amount when washing hair, sort of like about the size of a 50p coin, if that. And we tend to use that to massage the scalp, because it's the scalp that we need to concentrate on cleansing as opposed to the actual hair strands. And then we can rinse that out, and then we'll use a lot more conditioner. I always use say half a tub of conditioner to condition my scalp, not just my scalp but the hair strands itself. Try not to sort of do like this with the hair, because that's what's going to detangle it and tangle it up and create a bit of a knot. We try to smooth it out through the strands as much as you can. So if you use your hands and your fingers, you can just sort of smooth the conditioner through, and then you can rinse it out, and that just helps prevent getting the hair all tangled. Thank you for taking the time to engage and participate in this training session. I do hope you found it very useful, and going forward you'll be feeling more confident, more empowered to caring for your patients with Afro-Caribbean and thicker hair.